let's talk about India and its geopolitical strategy since Prime Minister Narendra Modi took office in 2014. What are the key differentiators of, say, prior to 2014 and between 2014 and now to the present?
Well, I would say that India's foreign policy has been quite nimble and, accepting of this changing world. From the time the world changed in about 1990, the Soviet Union collapsed. So it has been nimble. But particularly in the last decade, I think it's been a particularly troublesome world, and India has reacted well. So I would say India's foreign policy has become more professional, more nimble in dealing with this changing world, and higher amount of risk-taking. So when you get a Jaishankar as the foreign minister, somebody who is from the foreign service and is a professional, you get a professional pair of hands at the wheel, right? You also then take certain risks. So I think a strong differentiator would be the West Asia policy. There was a time more than a decade ago that routinely the West Asians, UAE, Saudis would pass resolutions or be party to resolutions on Kashmir and so on. That has changed. Now these are strategic partners, close friends of India. And that has been a sort of small victory of Indian foreign policy. Also, the current phase, peacemaking. This is a new kind of idea and thought in Indian foreign policy. Because the thought used to be that, look, you have enough problems in your neighborhood. You have enough internal problems, then you have problems in a troubled neighborhood. But this is India's foreign policy breaking free and saying, I don't just have interests in my neighborhood. I just don't need to manage only Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and what the Chinese are doing here. But I also need to, I have wider global interests. I need to go out and defend them. And part of your interest is the global conflicts, that you don't want them to become conflagrations which will affect your economic trajectory by either, food prices or fertilizer prices or whatever. So I think these are the newer elements. And Modi's visit to Ukraine, I think, is a risk for peace. And it is characteristic of a sort of higher risk, higher return foreign policy.
So, you talked about External Affairs Minister Jaishankar. A lot of people say he's very aggressive and we saw him how he dealt with certain questions about India's import of oil from Russia. And also critics say that India has become very self-serving and very aggressive in its foreign policy. And those critics are both in India as well as abroad. I mean, how do you view that?
I would characterize India's newer foreign policy as being realist in an international relations sense. We make a distinction between a realist or an idealist foreign policy, something that is completely driven by our supposed values. So it's a realist and pragmatic foreign policy, and it's executed with a certain degree of confidence. Now, you might like it, you might not like the tone and tenor of that, articulation of that foreign policy. But nevertheless, it is...
He's pretty blasé about it.
Well, it's a confidence. I would characterize it as a confident foreign policy by a confident spokesman of India who has a clarity on India's objectives. So, we're
not afraid to state what our objective is, right?
Absolutely. So sometimes
we're calling a spade a spade.
Yes. And sometimes you might need gentle persuasion. At other times, you might need behind closed doors conversations. At other times, you might need some degree of public diplomacy, public articulation. And I think we're doing all three. And sometimes you have to do it with some degree of aggression, pushback narratives, which are kind of imposed on you.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this clip. As you know, we are taking a deep dive into some complex issues and decoding them for you. So don't forget to check out more content on our channel. And also, we'd love to hear back from you with your comments and your suggestions. So let's explore together.